Welcome back to the Weekly Sports Guide podcast. I'm your host, Ashton Alcock, and we're going to get into my Week 5 picks. I know I started this a little too late in the season. Obviously, I started Week 4. Now into Week 5. But this time I'll actually have Thursday Night Football because I started that one on a Saturday. So it was right before the Sunday game. So the Cowboys-Giants game was already completed. But to start off this week, we had the Buccaneers at the Falcons. I feel like we saw Saints at Falcons. I don't know why this felt like already been played, but it hasn't. Falcons are 2-2, and the Buccaneers are 3-1. Both coming. The Buccaneers have been playing well this year. Kind of, forgive me, I don't even know what I was going on there. I started rambling about literally nothing. But the Buccaneers are coming off a win. I'm also picking the Buccaneers this week. I just like the way they've been playing this year. Baker's been playing well. The defense is playing very well. The Falcons have kind of been a little bit sloppy, but obviously they won last week. But I just like the way the Bucs have been playing. They have a lot of momentum. I think they're the favorites as of right now to win that division. Saints look like were really hot the first 2 weeks. Then they kind of really cooled down in the last couple. So I don't really trust them in that division. So obviously give me the Buccaneers. I'm going to say it's a 24-21 game. And on Sunday, we have a 9:30 matchup of the Jets and the Vikings. The Vikings have been really hot this year with Sam Darnold playing their 4-0. The Jets have been a little bit sloppy. They lost week 1 to the Niners, but the Niners are one of the best teams in the league. Then they beat the Titans and the Patriots, two of the worst teams in the league. And then they just lost a terrible game to the Denver Broncos, where literally Bo Nix thrown for 70 yards. That game was a little bit embarrassing. They had a chance to win it at the end. Rodgers looks like a shell of himself. I'm taking the Vikings pretty decisively here. I'm going to take them at least at least have 38 points. I think it's going to be 38-17. The Jets just have not been good at all. Their defense has been trying to keep them in the games. The offense has been very sloppy. Garrett Wilson's even coming out on air saying that they need to mix things up. They keep kind of doing the same thing. They're kind of getting told what to do, and it's just not going to work in a league where you kind of do the same thing. You kind of see it like with the Patriots, and as a Patriots fan, we run the ball, and you kind of get obvious, and people start to pick them down. The Jets need to start to mix up pass, run. Maybe one drive worked really well in the pass. Now let's try to run the next drive because they're going to expect the pass. No, oh wow, now Breece Hall and Braylon Allen are taking chunks down the field, but this Vikings defense is really good. Brian Flores has done magical things with this defense. They're playing really, really well. And the offense has been spectacular with Sam Darnold playing quarterback. Obviously, his stats haven't really blown off the roof, but they're playing very well, so I'm taking the Vikings in this week. The next game is Panthers at the Bears. I'm taking the Bears. The Panthers weren't that they played a really good game against the Bengals. I could see the Panthers winning this week against the Bears, but I think the Bears' talent they have too much of it to lose this game. So I'm going to say it's a 14-10 game. The Bears offensively haven't been great under Caleb Williams, but they, I think, have enough power to beat a team of the Panthers that have lost a key piece on defense. They haven't really been spectacular, but they've looked a lot better since Andy Dalton has taken over. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring, close game as 14-10. The next game is the Ravens at the Bengals. This should be a fun matchup. The Bengals got their first win against the Panthers. That was obviously a hard-fought game. It was very, very close. But the Ravens also came off a great win against the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to take the Ravens in a very close game, 28-24. Derrick Henry looks spectacular. They do need to get the passing going. Whereas Mark Andrews have been, he needs to start playing well. They need to start getting him the ball. He's a playmaker on that offense when they're passing it, and they haven't used him. They try to use Isaiah Likely because he had one good game week 1, but if they're not going to do that, I don't see them lasting this long and having a continuous win streak. But I'm going to take them this week just because the Bengals haven't really been red hot. So give me the Ravens 28-24. I may have already said a score, so. The next one is Bills at Texans. This should be arguably the game of the week. The Buffalo Bills have been really good except for last week. They've lost. The Texans were really good except for when they played the Vikings. But they played really well last week. I'm going to take the Texans in this matchup just because they are home. And the Texans at home are a really good team. C.J. Stroud's been playing really well. Nico Collins has been phenomenal. Stephon Diggs has been good. Tank Dell hasn't really been Tank Dell things, but hopefully he'll be back soon, playing well. He's out some games. He was out last week, or the week before. I forgot which week he was out. But once he's healthy and he's playing, that offense is going to be lethal. Joe Mixon, when he's there, makes that even more lethal. That team has a ton of weapons. Give me the Texans 31-21. Colts at Jaguars. This game is not really that good of a game. Jaguars have been playing terrible. I don't know what's up with them. I partially still blame Doug Peterson, but I'm starting to lean towards maybe blaming Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has not been great, especially with the weapons he has. He has Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. There's plenty of offense. Obviously, the O-line's not that good, so that's why kind of where I want to blame. Coaching staff, the defense hasn't been great. But they're also playing at Colts that are probably most likely led by Joe Flacco, who actually played really good last week. So I'm going to take the Colts in a very close game, 21-20. I think it comes down to a missed field goal for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The next game is Dolphins at the Patriots. Both teams have been playing terrible, especially for the Dolphins since they lost Tua. Skylar Thompson hasn't looked great, nor has Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley's starting again this week. He threw 92 yards. He had a little bit of a rushing yards. And for the Patriots, they have not been looking great at all either. They're a run-heavy team. They just played arguably their worst game of the season since, obviously, other than week 3. So back-to-back weeks of horrible play. They threw the most passing yards they've thrown all season, 168. But they have also thrown a pick. They've also fumbled. The defense played really well in that game, though. They tried to keep the Patriots in it, but obviously the Niners are just too good and they end up winning. But this week, if the Patriots defense plays like they played last week, I'm going to pick the Patriots to win a very close game, 17-10. I don't think it's really going to be a high-scoring game. The Dolphins defense isn't no joke. The Patriots O-line just lost David Andrews, so it's going to be way worse. I just don't see the Dolphins generating enough points. I think the Patriots will probably get a couple turnovers on Tyler Huntley, which then leading them to score a couple points, get a good early lead. Defense will end up winning the game for the Patriots. But if this was Dolphins with Tua, this is a completely different story. Tua is obviously going to win this game with the Dolphins because they just got a plethora of weapons. The weapons haven't been good. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Wall haven't been playing well. Devante struggling. He struggled last week against the Titans on Monday Night Football. So it's just not going to be that great of a game. So give me the Patriots 17-10. The Browns at the Commanders is going to be a fun one. The Browns hopefully can play well. They have a really good defense. Their offense is a little sluggish. There's some people to blame. Obviously, one person to blame is Deshaun Watson. But you also blame the coaching staff because their offense coordinator is not calling plays at all. We've heard about that from Alex Van Pelt, who left them off season to go to New England. But Kevin Stefanski kind of calls all the plays there, so they got to get stuff going. Obviously, they don't have Nick Chubb, which is a huge loss. But for the Commanders, on the other side of things, Jaden Daniels has been phenomenal for the first 4 weeks. He's looking like the Rookie of the Year candidate. Their offense has been very well. The defense playing well. Why am I blanking on his name? I literally blanked. Now, this is going to annoy me, so I'm going to cut this part out. Dan. Oh, my God. Dan Quinn. All right, let me redo this whole part. So the next game is Browns at Commanders. The Browns haven't been really good. Obviously, I'm going to blame kind of Kevin Stefanski. He doesn't have that offense ever prepared. I don't think that team's really good without Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's kind of their key focal point. On the other side of things, their defense has been very good. They have one of the best defensive ends in the league in Myles Garrett. I arguably think he's the second best defensive end in the league because I don't really count TJ Watt or Max Crosby on the ends. The only one I think better than Myles Garrett is Micah Parsons. But what they're facing this week is a young rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels who's been really good for the Commanders this year. He's been playing phenomenally. He's obviously going to be the Rookie of the Year as of right now. That's my pick. Because obviously Caleb Williams hasn't played well. Drake Mays has one drive. He looked fine that one drive, but he's not playing anytime soon. Bo Nix has looked terrible. Michael Penix hasn't been good. The only people I really playing for is Malik Neighbors, who's been really good for that Giants team who hasn't been playing well, and obviously Marvin Harrison Jr., who's the best wide receiver in this draft. So it's kind of been up to that. Their offense is playing really well. Dan Quinn has them set up perfectly. So give me the Commanders this game. I'm having them win 31-17. The Raiders at Broncos. This is a matchup of two teams that have not been playing well all season. Obviously, for the Raiders, they have Gardner Minshew, who's starting quarterback, but they might also be starting Aiden O'Connell at some point. They're stuck in a QB situation where it's not that good. But on the other hand, the Broncos have a rookie quarterback who also has not been playing well. And like I said in my last episode, that the Broncos and Bo Nix has a very limited playbook. They have a certain amount of plays that he's allowed to call because I think they're trying to put a little baby like training wheels on him, and then while they release at a later point once he starts getting used to the league. He's coming off one of the worst passing performances he's had probably ever. He threw for 70 yards at halftime. He had -7 yards passing. He finished with 70, but he did end up getting the win over the Jets. I'm going to take the Broncos in this game just because they're at home. I think their defense will hold just enough against this Raiders offense, who probably won't have Devante Adams. They may have Michael Mayer. They might have Max Crosby back. I'm just going to take the Broncos in a very low-scoring game, 10-7. The next game is Cardinals at the Niners. The Niners are coming out of a blowout win against the Patriots where they completely dominated the game. The Cardinals are coming off a really bad loss to the Commanders, and I just can't see the Niners losing this game. They are pretty much at full health except for obviously Christian McCaffrey, who has he has a Achilles. I forgot what it's called, but he has like the stuff with his Achilles in both legs. Kind of forgot what it's called. I'm blanking on it right now, but he's going to be out for a few more weeks, so he's not going to be playing. But they got Trent Williams back this week. They got Debo back. They got George Kittle back. They had Brock Purdy playing, who was questionable last week. And they played really well against a really good Patriots defense. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers 42-17. The Green Bay Packers at the Rams for the the first 4:25 game, the third game of the 4 o'clock slate. I'm going to take the Packers in this one. I think they have a good chance of winning it. They started off 2-1, with especially under Malik Willis for 2 weeks. They officially got Jordan Love back. Obviously, Jordan Love played pretty good. They almost came back to beat the Vikings, but they fell just short. They're playing a Rams team who's been playing really sluggish. This is not the same Rams team, but they also don't have their top two targets in Cooper Kupp as well as Puka Nacua. So they're kind of out on it. So I just can't really see the Rams winning. They also don't have Aaron Donald. The defense is not really the same without him. So I'm going to take the Packers 24-10 this game. And for the final 4:25 game, we have the Giants at the Seahawks. There's not really much to say. The Giants have not been looking great. They're going to probably end up drafting a quarterback this upcoming draft. Malik Neighbors has been very much of a bright spot, but he might not be playing due to a concussion. Wan'Dale Robinson's been playing really well. So he solidified himself as a wide receiver too. So I'm going to take the Seahawks 31-10. I just think Seattle has been playing really well. Obviously, they came off a tough loss to the Lions in week 1, but also Jared Goff played phenomenally. There was nothing you really could say about that performance. He went 18 for 18, he threw 2 touchdowns. He even caught one from Amon St. Brown. So obviously, the Seahawks also had a great game. Geno Smith threw for over 300 yards. Kenneth Walker had 3 touchdowns. So it was a phenomenal Monday Night Football game. But I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks over the Giants. For Sunday Night Football, we have the Steelers and the Cowboys. The Steelers are going to be starting Justin Fields again. The Cowboys have not really been phenomenal. Obviously, they have CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, but they don't have a running game. Jake Ferguson's a solid at tight end. Micah Parsons probably out for a bit. DeMarcus Lawrence is out for a very long time. He's out for like 4 to 6 weeks with a foot injury, while Micah Parsons like week to week, day to day, depending on what they feel and how he's feeling. But the Steelers also offensively haven't been great. Defense has been really, really good for them. That's pretty much the reason why they're 3-1 is their defense is really good. But the Dallas Cowboys defense has also been very good, even though they are 2-2. I'm having a hard time deciding who I think will win this game. I'm just going to give it to the Steelers. Steelers are going to win a very close game, 24-20 at home. And the only reason I'm picking is because they are home. So Steelers are going to win. Monday Night Football. We got Saints and the Chiefs. If this game was played like 2 weeks ago, I'd probably say this is probably the game of the week. But obviously the Saints have really cooled off from their 2-0 start. They're now 0-2. They beat the Cowboys and they beat the Panthers, but they've also lost 2 weeks in a row. So it's kind of hard to pick the Saints this week. But it's also the Chiefs who are now out of Rashee Rice, who suffered a serious knee injury because when Patrick Mahomes was going to dive for the fumble on the pick he threw, he nailed into Rashee Rice's knee, bending it backwards, which then led to most likely be a torn ACL. They have not officially said it, but it seems like he's going to be out for the season. I'm not going to say that the Saints are going to win, so I know the Chiefs are going to win this game. Travis Kelce's going to play well. Xavier Worthy's been pretty good as a rookie. So give me the Kansas City Chiefs in a very close game, 31-24. I think it's going to come down to a touchdown. I just don't think Derek Carr is good enough to kind of push them over the edge on a Sunday Night Football in Arrowhead, which is one of the hardest stadiums to be in. Another thing I want to talk about is Devante Adams and the trade. He requested a trade. I'm going to give out my few options of teams he could possibly go to. One is the New York Jets. The New York Jets are definitely an option for him, especially knowing that he has a rapport with Aaron Rodgers. It will also make that team stacked and hopefully propel them to go for a division title, which they haven't won in years. They're fighting for a playoff spot. They're 2-2 right now. They haven't been playing great. This move would probably make their offense way better. You could do a lot more with Mike Williams, Devante Adams, and Garrett Wilson. So New York Jets are definitely a possibility. Next would be the Dallas Cowboys. Their offense hasn't been great. They have CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson, but their running backs is probably their biggest weakness. So I don't know if it makes sense of getting a guy like Devante Adams, but I could also see the ideas of getting one. Obviously, you might have to move off Brandon Cooks or Jalen Tolbert, but if that's the case, you're getting a bona fide wide receiver one to pair up with your already bona fide wide receiver one, CeeDee Lamb. That's a great duo to have. Obviously, it would make more pressure on the Dallas Cowboys to win a championship this year. But they have to make something. They have to do something. Obviously, they still have to go for a wide receiver and get healthy on defense. So there's a lot of pieces that have to go into hand in hand here. Another team I would mention is the Buffalo Bills. They're out of a wide receiver one. They have Keon Coleman, who's playing the part right now. He's looking really good. But getting a guy like Devante Adams, who's saying no? I'm not saying no. I know Buffalo Bills fans probably wouldn't say no. Giving up a good offer for him might work out. Another team is the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens intrigue me with this move because they never had a true wide receiver one under Lamar Jackson. He's been playing since 2019, and we're already in 2024, and he's never had one. Rashad Bateman was obviously supposed to be that guy, but obviously it didn't work out. Now they have Nelson Aguilar. Zay Flowers looks really, really, really good, but I think if you can put him as that wide receiver two, where he gets more options, more opportunities, I think he's gonna benefit from that. So if you're the Ravens, you're not saying no to getting a guy like Devante Adams that pair up with Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers. Another team I can see is the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders have been playing phenomenally the first few weeks, but they can also add another piece to pair up with Terry McLaurin, who's also a really good wide receiver in this league. And you get Jane Daniels a bona fide wide receiver one and a bona fide wide receiver two with that move. Because Terry McLaurin will move down to wide receiver two, and he'll probably get tons of options, especially since teams will now game plan around Devante Adams. Another spot I like to see is they've been in the moves, especially this offseason with Brandon Ayuk. The Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously, they have a lot of issues right now trying to figure out who the starting quarterback, if it's going to be Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. As of right now, it's still going to be Justin Fields, but I don't know what happens 2 weeks down the line if it's going to be Russell Wilson. They just came off a tough loss to the Indianapolis Colts this past week. Now they're playing the Cowboys. But getting a guy like a Devante Adams gives you a bona fide wide receiver one and a bona fide wide receiver two in Pickens with a good run game as well as Pat Fryermuth. This will definitely propel them for a chance to actually win the division, actually do something in the playoffs this year. A team that I don't see it happening with, but is a very strong possibility, is the Kansas City Chiefs. They do need a wide receiver one. They haven't had one since Tyreek Hill got traded a couple years ago. Xavier Worthy's looked good. Rasheed Rice was really good until he ended up getting his knee injury. So it looked like they solved their issue as a wide receiver one, but obviously not with him out. Definitely a good chance to take a flyer on Adams, but I just don't see it happening just because it's an interdivision trade. I just can't see it happening. Another team I kind of would like to mention is the New England Patriots because every single year, and I'm a Patriots fan, and I know Patriots fans out there know what I'm talking about. We need a wide receiver one. We see it every year as fans. The Patriots are interested in X, Y, and Z, and it just never falls out. This is your chance. Like, Belichick never made the moves for a wide receiver one because he wouldn't want to pay a receiver. Elliott Willis has proven that he would be willing to play guys that are their own, as well as getting guys out there that could help. Obviously, this year's free agency, they try to go out and get Calvin Ridley. They try to trade for Brandon Ayuk. But this is your chance now to go get a guy who's unhappy in Las Vegas, and now you have a chance to add that to a team that has a rookie promising quarterback in Drake May. You have a up and coming receiver who's been playing really well. He just doesn't get as much targets as Jalen Polk. Obviously, with the offensive line issues, it's hard for a quarterback to get the ball out. But he made a nice couple of grabs this past week against the Niners. He had that deep ball that didn't count, but he caught that in double coverage. He leads the league for all rookies in separation percentage, which is huge. That means he gets open a lot. Something the Patriots never had in a receiver in a while since Julian Edelman, where they had a guy who can get open. Kendrick Bourne kind of does that, but he's not as good as it. They tried Devante Parker, that never worked out. They went after DeAndre Hopkins. But this is finally the move where if you go before the deadline, get this guy, pay him, you have $137 million, you give your rookie wide receiver a wide receiver one for a few years, from probably a couple years since he's on the older side. But Devante Adams is very good route running. He has great hands. So that's a move I think the Patriots should make, and I think should be on this list because they're going to be in the conversation anyway. It's going to be mentioned multiple times. Will the Patriots get him? Will the Patriots not? Will the Patriots get him? But it's obviously going to come down. I probably think he ends up on like the New Orleans Saints, dark horse team for me because pair him up with Chris Olave, who's been really good. Give Derek Carr his best friend back. Obviously, it didn't work out in Vegas, but also they were in shambles. Josh McDaniels and that coaching staff was horrible. So getting a second chance maybe with the Saints is also where I actually think he ends up landing. And I know I kind of just slipped that out there, but that's where I think he ends up is the New Orleans Saints. And that'll end up probably solidifying the chance of actually winning this division with going up against Tampa is getting a guy that can go do it with Olave, who has speed, with Rashid Shaheed, who's has been really good, and Alvin Kamara. So that's a move I could see. That's all I got for today. I'll see you next episode. Most likely, maybe hopefully at the end of this week, where I might be talking with some NHL or be early next week. But for now, that'll be all. I'll see you guys next time.